Notre Dame fans, thank you for joining me for yet another recruiting video. Today is the defensive side of the target board. It should be fun. I'm going defensive line, linebackers, and corners, and then safeties mushed together in DBs. The defense line and the linebacker boards are a little bit smaller than the DBs just because there's one DB committed. There are 3 defensive linemen committed and 2 linebackers. These 4 guys are pretty much the only targets left on the defensive line. I don't even think the staff is talking to any more guys. Alex Bauman was on this previously. Caleb Artis was also on here. Isaac Ham a while ago. Just a few previous targets to note. DJ Westlake, of course. But we go today to Cyrus Moss first. That Oklahoma pick that's not legitimate. That was from a while ago. Right now, I have zero clue where he ends up, and I think same with him. Visits are going to be absolutely key here. He's taking 3 over the summer, I believe, to Clemson, Arizona State, and Notre Dame. He will save his other 2 for the fall. Released the top 5. Florida was also in it. I believe Oregon was the 5th school. I believe it was Oregon, Notre Dame, Clemson, Arizona State, and Florida. Right now, no leaders, no clue where he ends up. Ernest Cooper is the next guy we'll go to. He will be taking a June 28th official visit to Notre Dame. Maybe June 25th, excuse me. Release of top 5, Stanford was in it. Texas, Oklahoma, maybe Texas A&M as well as Notre Dame. I didn't think he was a top target of the Irish, but now I do think he is. I think they're going to wait and see what happens with Moss. I think Cooper's going to wait it out until the fall or the winter. But if Moss goes elsewhere, and let's say they don't land Lucas and they only have Heinisch in the bag, they might as well take Cooper or cycle back to some previous guys. So that's definitely one to watch. Anthony Lucas, huge target for Notre Dame. I do think Notre Dame leads at this point. Official visits will be big, though. If he loves his visit, I could see him committing shortly after. And then Donovan Heinisch is Donovan Heinisch. He's going to end up in this class at some point. All right. Moving on to the linebackers, there are 4 names to know right now. Probably more, just 3. I left Davon Jackson on there just because he's just so good. I don't know how you're going to pass up on him, but I do think he will actually get passed up on. I also don't think he ends up at Notre Dame. Right now, I do think Arizona State leads. Arizona State is doing a really good job there. A few other guys, Lander Barton, David Bailey from Mater Dei. It's a name we haven't talked about in a while. Those 2 guys also could have been the 5th and 6th guy on this Google Slides document, but I decided to keep them off just because I don't even know if they're still in contact with the staff. But 3 guys to know, as you guys most likely know: Sebastian Cheeks, Jalen Sneed, Niuafe Tulimaka. Niuafe will be deciding June 18th. Only has 1 official visit planned, and that is to Notre Dame for the weekend of June 11th through the 13th. I'm liking where this is. I'm really confident he ends up in the blue and gold. He takes his Notre Dame official visit, likes it. I think he commits to Notre Dame shortly thereafter. Jalen Sneed, another guy to know. Huge target for the Irish, ranked in the top 75 on both 247 and Rivals. This dude is a monster target. I do think he ends up at Notre Dame. He will be taking a June 4th official visit, though, to Oregon, but he's grown up an Oregon fan. He wants to see Oregon, whatever. I do think that Notre Dame comes out on top. His mom is a big, big fan of the Irish. Sebastian Cheeks, Michigan, Wisconsin, Texas, UNC are getting more involved to set up a few more official visits to go alongside Notre Dame's. If Notre Dame has room for him, he's going to be in this class. If you were to ask me before Clark Lee accepted the Vanderbilt job, who is one prospect you were certain would end up in this class, I would have said Sebastian Cheeks. But now, things have changed. Marcus Freeman still loves him, though. He loves Marcus Freeman, but numbers are going to come down to the wire. Guys like Joshua Burnham, I wouldn't expect it to be in this class. Same with Jalen Sneed, same with Niuafe Tulimaka. So things have changed big time. All right, moving on to the DBs. These are the main guys to know. Jake Pope could have also been on here. I want to point that out. It was hard removing him. He is a monster target for the Irish, and I'm a huge, huge fan of his game. So Jake Pope, I guess a little 7th spot for him. Right now, he is no leader, as he will be on campus in June. Benjamin Morrison is the first guy to know. It's an Alabama-Notre Dame duel at this point, with Washington trying to stick around as well. Official visits are going to be huge. I hate to keep saying that, but that's just really the case for a lot of these guys. Jair Brown, of course, his dad passed away a few weeks ago, so I don't think he's too keen on recruiting, but rightfully so. He will be on campus, though, in June, I believe, at some point. I think he was – no, it's Bucko Bash. Never mind. His dad, though, was a huge Notre Dame fan and was really in Notre Dame's corner when it revolved around his son's recruitment. So losing him will definitely hurt Notre Dame's odds. But at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. Family goes beyond recruiting. Jaden Bellamy is another guy to know. I'm a huge fan of him. 5'7" is just a disgusting. A 3-star for Jaden Bellamy is just not even imaginable. This kid plays against the best competition in the country at St. Bergen Catholic. Of course, he's teammates with Steve Angeli, Notre Dame's quarterback commit. But Bellamy is a big-time player. Ohio State, Penn State are two other teams to know. His dad did play ball at Rutgers. If Notre Dame puts him as a top target and treats him like one, I do think he ends up in Notre Dame's class. I'm not sure if Ohio State has him as a top target, but I would assume Penn State would. Devon Moore from Naples, Florida. Shout out to Mike Singer from Blue England Illustrated because he was down at Devon Moore's school, took some nasty Twitter clips. Shout out Mike Singer. Look him up on Twitter. Devon Moore looked fabulous. I didn't really watch this kid's film. Some of it wasn't the best quality, whatever. I knew he had grown and put on weight, and I watched these Twitter clips, and this kid was flying. Devon Moore really, really surprised me. And with that, I completely see why Brian Kelly has him as one of his favorite recruits. When you have the head coach on your side, if you want Notre Dame, the staff's going to want you. So Devon Moore, I do think will end up in this class. My pick for Florida, don't really worry about that. Florida is a school contending for him. Alabama as well. Also had Stanford in his top 7. I want to point that out. So he's definitely a high academic kid. Will be on campus this June. I forget which weekend, or he might have a midweek visit. I'm not sure. But if he likes that visit enough, I could definitely see him committing sometime over the summer. Nikkei Martinez was a guy who I thought would end up in this class a few weeks or months ago. But as time has progressed, I just think Notre Dame is doing better with the likes of Benjamin Morrison, Devon Moore, Jaden Bellamy even. I'm just not too sure. Mike Singer also checked out Nikkei Martinez, and I saw the clips, and Devon Moore looked a hell of a lot better. So these rankings are not everything, guys. But Nikkei Martinez, still a solid player. I wouldn't be mad if he ended up in this class. Just a little smaller. Has a lot of dog in him, though. And then Xavier Nwankpa is an absolutely massive target since day one for the Irish. This dude, if you ask any Notre Dame fan who's one guy on defense you really, really want, Xavier Nwankpa be that guy. Number 14 player in the country, according to 247 Sports. And I see why. Had a monster junior year for Southeast Polk High School in Iowa, same high school that Caden Proctor, 2023 offensive target, 5-star, goes to. Nwankpa is a special talent. If he were to commit to Notre Dame, he might be the biggest get they've gotten since maybe Blake Fisher. Of course, that was just a class before. I don't know. This would be an absolutely huge upset. Right now, Ohio State is in the lead, but Deshawn Mccullough, I saw this on social media. Deshawn Mccullough was, of course, his main guy, and he was committed to Ohio State. Flipped to Indiana, where I'm 99.99% sure he signs. Nwankpa's not going to Indiana, but Deshawn Mccullough leaving Ohio State is definitely big because he was his lead recruiter pretty much. Of course, the defense – it's like Blake Fisher, guys. Deshawn Mccullough was the Blake Fisher for Ohio State's class like Blake Fisher was for Notre Dame's 2021 class. Notre Dame might not land guys like Rocco Spindler or Deion Colsey again. Some of the late additions that they got, Prince Colley, Blake Fisher was all over those guys. And you see why. So it makes a big difference. I don't think Ohio State has as big of a lead because of that. I'm going to be completely honest. Ohio State still leads, but Notre Dame can blow them away with a great visit. If Kyle Hamilton can be a huge role model to him on his visit, I don't know. Something can happen. I'll say that. Something can happen. He's been probably the biggest target on the defense side of the ball for a year now. So Xavier Nwankpa still is number one in my eyes as the number one defensive guy on the board. Jalen Sneed still up there. Niwaf Tulimak still up there. Cyrus Moss is probably up there for me as well. Anthony Lucas, but Lucas, Moss, Sneed, Tuhuli Maka, and Nwankpa are definitely the 5 guys to know at the top of my board at least. Devon Moore's rising. Jair Brown's rising. Try to think who else. Devin Jackson's rising, but I don't think he ends up in this class. And then Heinisch, of course, will. I'm just trying to do a brief. I'll go back really quickly for you guys to show you. Yeah, Cheeks, I will say, is falling a little bit for me. I said that in a previous video a few weeks ago. I saw his junior tape, and I wasn't blown away. Sure, he played running back and linebacker. You're going to be exhausted. But regardless, I wasn't really blown away with Cheeks. I just want to say that out there. So if any of the Michigan fans are like, we got Cheeks, what? Like, hey, Caleb Brown's going to Ohio State, so I don't know what to say to Michigan fans. But yeah, okay, that's the video. I won't get too carried away. I got school to go to. Like, subscribe, comment. I'll respond to every single Notre Dame football-related comment that you comment, the best that I can. And yeah, thank you for 200 subscribers as well. A little quick note on that.